Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to comment on sugar production. The sugar industry has witnessed a steady increase in sugar production due to enhanced investment by both government and private players. In 2020, a total of 603,788 metric tons of sugar was produced compared to 440,935 metric tons in 2019. This signifies an improvement of 37% in local sugar production. The sugarcane availability survey conducted by AFA in December 2020 established that there will be enough cane to produce at least 660,000 metric tons of sugar this year. Through to this projection, the first 2 months of 2021 have recorded production of 119,552 metric tons of sugar, indicating the capability to achieve this forecast. So overall, I'm giving you statistics to tell you that the local sugar sector has been growing and improving in terms of quality, in terms of production, in terms of acreage and the cane, and even in terms of crushing capacity. It has been increasing and improving, contrary to the notion usually pushed around that we have a big problem with the local sugar production. It has been improving because of some of the changes that have been taking place in the sector. Of course, the population has also been growing. So it doesn't mean that we are meeting the local demand from the local production, but there has been an increase and an improvement in the sector. And if you look at the projected economic growth, you will find for the agricultural sector, actually sugarcane is one of the drivers. Tea, sugar and horticulture, you see they are the main drivers in terms of improved production in the agricultural sector. So situation of excess sugarcane in selected sugarcane catchment areas. Ladies and gentlemen, as you are aware, there has been a lot of concern from the farmers on the inability of the millers to harvest their cane on time. This in turn led to delay in cane harvesting, and in some instances, sugarcane of up to 48 months still stayed unharvested in the fields. The ministry, or my ministry, held consultative meetings with millers from the affected areas with a view of coming up with agreeable solutions. And the highlights of these agreed solutions are as follows. One, there was an urgent request by the millers for the government to roll out implementation of the Crops, Sugar and General Regulations 2020, whose impact would be coordination of the sugar sector, thus linking closely millers and the growers. Number two, the directorate to lead a sensitization cum registration exercise of growers through print and electronic media in a bid to reach out to the so-called independent growers whose cane is not captured in the mill harvesting program. In the meantime, the millers agreed to individually contact sugarcane farmers who are most affected within their area of operation with a view of harvesting their cane. Millers were encouraged to enhance their capacities where possible, with special requests for the government also to fund the rehabilitation of state-owned mills, which would otherwise lead to absorption of the excess sugar cane. The Sugar Directorate also sampled a few growers from the affected areas to confirm the existing situation. It was observed that the problem was slowly being addressed through continuous identification and incorporation of the farmers into the harvesting schedule. We further confirmed that some farmers who had cane in the farms for as long as 48 months were already being harvested by the millers in the affected areas. Basically, we are saying we worked with the millers to help mop up excess cane that has been lying unutilized for that period. And the report we have right now is that that situation has improved. So enhanced capacities by some private millers through the setting up of new sugar mills. For example, West Kenya Sugar Company, Naitiri unit in Bungoma County is 80% complete and targets commissioning in August 2021. This will greatly enhance absorption of cane in the area and neighboring catchment. On the same note, the ministry notes that there are other applications for setting up of new sugar mills in Siaya, Kilifi, Kisii, Uasin Gishu, and Tana River counties. And we want to fast track the processing of those new applications so that we can have other millers in all those other places to help improve, bring more competition, and also improve absorption of sugar cane from farmers, because we have many farmers now going back to invest in sugar cane growing. Ladies and gentlemen, the engagement with affected farmers also revealed a glaring lack of enforceable contracts between the growers and the millers. The Crop Sugar and General Regulations 2020 specifies the various contracts or agreements that are supposed to be entered into between the growers and millers for the farming or supply of sugarcane, as well as harvesting or transportation of sugarcane. Further, the sample agreement in the Gazetted regulations have clearly indicated the obligations for each of the parties involved. And the key contents, the key requirements in the agreements that farmers are supposed to enter with the millers, the key provisions that must appear in all the agreements are as follows. 1, plant crops harvested within 24 hours, 24 months, and 22 months for the subsequent ratoons. In other words, it's now a requirement that once you enter into contract with farmers, you must harvest their canes within 24 months. And the balance, the cane that grows after the harvest, must also be harvested within 22 months. Harvest to mill time from green sugarcane shall not exceed 72 hours, while accidentally burnt cane shall not exceed 28, shall not exceed 48 hours. These are all requirements to help improve absorption of cane from the farms. Then payment of grower by the miller within 7 days of sugarcane delivery, and the sugarcane price derived through the payment formula provided by the Sugarcane Pricing Committee. And these regulations have spelled out the applicable penalties in case of breach of the conditions or contracts. For example, 1.5% interest per month on the outstanding sum payable to growers by the millers in case of delayed payment. There is also a clear exit clause on the termination of the agreement, as well as force majeure. So a review of the current contract agreement entered into between the growers and the miller show that most agreements are skewed towards the miller and are not easily enforceable due to various omissions and or commissions. In view of the aforementioned, it is therefore important that the rollout of the implementation of the Crops, Sugar and General Regulation 2020 be fast-tracked in order to create a level ground for industry players. I therefore hereby instruct the Sugar Directorate to engage in full-blown sensitization for growers to enter into contracts with millers within the framework of the regulations, and at the same time, and they also ensure that those contracts are deposited with the authority, with AFA, for enforcement. This sensitization shall be done in consultation with the respective county governments through electronic, print media, and farmer field day, among others. Contracts by millers and farmers should be drawn and deposited within the next 2 months. In other words, I'm now asking AFA, since the law that was stopping these regulations, the injunction was lifted and these regulations are in place. I'm asking AFA to move with the speed to start the sensitization of farmers on the need to enter into contract with millers, and we want this exercise to be concluded within the next 2 months, and after that we will start enforcing that requirement. Millers will not be allowed to buy cane from farmers without enforceable agreements detailing those specific requirements that have specified, that they must harvest the cane within a certain period, the second crop must be harvested within a certain period, etc., etc. There are those very specific conditions that are going to strengthen the status of the farmer vis-a-vis the status of the miller. And since the regulations are now in place, there is no reason why we should continue dilly-dallying on enforcing of these regulations for the benefit of the sugarcane farmers. Let me now turn to the cane payment formula, which is also now provided for and which we also want to start enforcing. Ladies and gentlemen, as you may be aware, the Ministry constituted an interim sugarcane pricing committee in line with the AFA and the Crops Act 2013 and the Crops General Regulations 2020. The terms of reference was to, among other things, review the sugarcane prices to farmers, which has stagnated at Kenya shillings 3,700 since the last review by a similar committee in 2018. Sugarcane Pricing Committee uses a simplified formula to ensure that farmers benefit directly from improved sugar prices in the market. The adopted simplified cane pricing formula is as given below. Basically, the pricing formula simply says that the farmer will be compensated as at is it 10%? 10% ratio. Anyway, we will explain in the write-up. It is properly explained. This formula gives the minimum recommended cane price to be paid to the farmer. In the 2016 meeting of the Sugar Pricing Committee on 29 May 2009, the committee resolved that the simplified formula be fully adopted by all millers. Consequently, the 1st July 2009 was taken as the commencement date for the implementation. Having considered that the prevailing sugar ex-factory prices over the past 3 months was Kenya shillings 4,659, the committee approved an increase in the price of cane from the current Kenya shillings 3,700 per ton to Kenya shillings 4,040 per ton, effective April 1, 2021, in line with the industry cane pricing formula. Therefore, I direct the millers to adhere to the new prices while making payment to the farmers. Any farmer being paid less should report to the authority. Any cases of non-compliance will attract a fine of not less than Kenya shillings 500,000 or 1 year imprisonment as per Section 37 of the Crops Act 2013. Basically, we are announcing new prices for cane commencing on the 1st day of April. I think the day after tomorrow. We expect all the millers to start paying farmers on the new prices, which is Kenya shillings 4,040 per ton. That is an improvement from the prevailing prices of 3,700 per ton. So we are announcing that, and we are asking millers, anyone who will deviate from that price will be in for a penalty We will start enforcing from the first day of April to make sure that farmers recoup benefits from the new prices and also from the improved sugarcane situation in the country, so that we also push some of the benefits to the farmers, so that not all the benefits go to the millers. So we are announcing this, and we will ask AFA to enforce and continue surveillance to ensure the new prices are followed. Now, turning to quality-based cane payment system, ladies and gentlemen, since the inception of the Kenya sugar industry in the early 1900s, payment of sugarcane deliveries has been based on tonnage. Sugarcane weight is determined using weighing bridges, and then farmers are paid based on total tonnage. Cane weight is a function of various factors, including variety, harvesting age, soils, crop management practices, environmental factors, as well as cane handling after harvest. Given the wide dynamism of the above factors affecting cane weight, this payment system does not drive quality improvement in sugarcane production and processing. Hence the need to explore other systems of compensating farmers for cane deliveries to the mills. The weakness in the weight-based cane payment system include A, inequitable sharing of benefits, B, does not encourage efficiency, concerns on sustainability, lack of competitiveness, and does not capture the intrinsic value of cane. Whereas millers and growers are independent economic entities, payment systems aim at sharing sugar industry revenues. These revenues are from the sale of sugar and byproduct like molasses and bagasse, among others. There are nearly as many payment systems as there are sugar producing countries. Payment systems are designed to create incentives to increase productivity and improve milling efficiency. They may be based on equitable share of industry earnings based on their respective costs of production, while ensuring a reasonable return on investment. A farmer who supplies good quality cane is rewarded, while the factory is reduced to maximize on efficiency. Payment based on cane quality is one such system. Sucrose content is the most ideal form of determining how much the cane is worth for extraction of sugar. The rationale for quality-based cane payment system is as follows. A, support to government policy on improvement of industry productivity. B, system meant to assess the value and compensate the grower accordingly. B, benchmarking on best practices in other crops nationally and internationally, such as tea and coffee, who are also paid according to quality. D, incentive for high quality management in production process. E, fulfilling trade agreement for commercial safeguards, where a cane pricing formula based on sucrose content was to be introduced as a conditionality for the safeguards. And F, legal requirement to support the gazetted crop sugar general regulations 2020 that provides for payment based on quality. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm happy to note that a roadmap for implementation of the quality-based cane payment system is at an advanced stage, and we hope to roll it out in July 2021. The roadmap involves, number one, upgrade of the 2 pilot CTUs by June 2021, and 11 units will be in operation by July 2021. Basically, we have the sucrose testing units that we have been installing to help us determine the sucrose content of sugarcane, so that we can now migrate to quality-based system of compensating farmers. And so far we have done most of them. We have only remaining with two units, so that we have now enough CTUs in the sugar growing belt to be able to migrate to this system. And therefore, we are targeting by June this year we will be through with the other 2, and then we will have 11 units that are functional. With those 11 units, then we will be able to migrate to the quality-based compensation system that determines pay on the basis of the sucrose content of the cane other than the weight, because the weight-based system is inappropriate, because you are measuring weight of even water. What you should be based on is the quality of the sugar cane that you are selling, so that you are compensated appropriately. And therefore, of course, you will be made now to invest in terms of quality to earn more money. So we will be migrating to that system once we are through with this, with upgrading the other 2 CTUs. Of course, then there will be approval of the manual, then the validation of the formula, and of course the calibration. Once we are done with the installation of all the CTUs, then we will have the calibration, and then we will be able to migrate. We will be able to sensitize farmers and then be able to migrate to the new system. Let me now turn to the sugar importation. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to briefly touch on the issues of sugar importation. As earlier mentioned, sugar industry has witnessed a steady increase in sugar production due to enhanced investment by both government and private players. However, on the other hand, increase in population has under an upward push in sugar consumption, outpacing domestic production. The country has not reached self-sufficiency in sugar production. For this reason, the country will this year be filling the deficit by importing sugar, especially from the Comesa region. To bridge the gap, in January to December 2020, a total of 442,393 tons of sugar was imported, which includes 140,123 metric tons of industrial sugar. Comesa country supplied 343,087 tons, which represents 78% of the total imports in this period. All brown sugar originated from the Comesa region, while the balance was imported under duty remission scheme from the rest of the world. With an anticipated production of 660,000 tons and a consumption of 1,067,099 tons, our annual sugar deficit for the year 2021 stands at 210,163 tons of meal white, or otherwise known as brown sugar, which the country shall import to bridge the gap. This figure represents a drop in importation by 40,000 metric tons from 2020, projecting deficit of 250,000 metric tons. My ministry has put in place systems in place to ensure that only the deficit quantity shall be imported by registered and licensed importers. All sugar importers are therefore required to comply with the crop sugar imports, exports and byproducts regulations 2020. Thank you very much. There is another question. Thank you. Enjoy your Easter.